Welcome, foolish mortals, to my project overview of my Haunted Mansion ensemble. I've always had an overactive imagination, ever since I was a little girl sitting on my father's lap while we played video games. The bad guys gave me bad dreams, and I often had trouble discerning the difference in reality and fantasy. That may be why horror has never really been my genre. While I like horror elements and the idea of horror is fascinating to me, actually experiencing a horror movie or game is not my idea of a good time. My imagination tends to run away with me. The first time I rode the Haunted Mansion, it was the second or maybe third time I had ever been to Disney World with my parents. I hated it. Not knowing what was coming, just that there were ghosts everywhere and a spooky voice talking to me. At the time, the night animatronics still moved and the attraction stopped in a room full of giant spiders. The attic haunted me. Pun totally intended. We were at a gift shop at MGM, and I found a book about the attraction. I was fortunate growing up in that my parents very rarely, if ever, denied me books. I am firmly of the belief that knowledge defeats fear, and I devoured that book. I read it until it fell apart. And when that book was falling apart, I was falling in love with the Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion doesn't have an in-universe story. The closest we've gotten is cast member stories and Imagineers adding story elements in more recent years. The characters are the secret to its popularity. The Florida version, the one I'm far more familiar with, is themed after a New England mansion with Victorian influence. Of all the named characters, I would say I love Madame Leota the most. My original inspiration for this ensemble was a historically adequate Madame Leota. Unfortunately, I've since learned that Madame Leota canonically lived around 1693, which is much earlier than my inspiration for a Victorian ensemble. Based on the ideas of the outer facade of the attraction and the colors used with the cast member costumes, I chose some amazing fabrics. The skirt is made out of Silk Baron's taffeta in Victorian frost. The bodice will be made out of the same taffeta, but in the colorway Lovecraft. As an aside, I love the Cthulhu mythos, though the author has a special place saved for him in the afterlife. To see this absolutely perfect shade of green on the site, and then to see the color name being Lovecraft when I'm working on a spooky dress? Absolute destiny. I've also picked up some stunning metal buttons to grace the front of the bodice and some black lace for the trim. I'm still picking out the accessories, but I intend to have a lot of bat and gothic themed jewelry. I'm not much of an artist, but I hope that this design makes sense for what I'm aiming for here. I can't wait to see it all put together. I do hope that I haven't frightened you prematurely, and that you'll consider sticking around. After all, there's always room for one more.